What's up, everybody? My name is Kevin. I'm a service technician for Penguin Heating and Air Conditioning out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. I figured I would give you guys a little tour of my van set up here and show you what I got going. Starting at the side of the van here, you open up these side doors. Right here is where I'm going to be grabbing and going inside the van the most. I usually don't hardly ever walk to the back of the van. I usually enter through these side doors. So of course, first thing is the service bag, right? You always want to keep your service bag in the very easily accessible spot, because obviously that's what you're going to be using the most, right? So we usually keep 2 people in the van over here, so that's why we've got our 2 sets of knee pads here. Down here we keep a fan. These really come in handy, you know, during these hot summers and stuff, so we keep a fan in here. And another thing that people don't see very often is this knee pad right here. This sucker comes in handy, and I love to have it in that spot because, again, like I said, I enter through these doors most of the time, so it's just right there. Grab it and go. All right, so starting at the driver's side of the vehicle here, open up the door. I've seen a lot of places people keep their phone mounts. I like to keep it right here personally, just so I can put my phone in there, and I have a wireless CarPlay adapter, so I don't have to run a cord across here. So if you ask me, this is the most convenient spot if you have a wireless CarPlay adapter. In here, I keep some hand wipes and other things like that. This is our kind of file cabinet that I mounted. I'm really glad I put this thing in here. It really helps to keep organized, and that's kind of been my whole goal of doing this van build, is I want to have everything organized and there'll be a spot for everything, right? So of course, receipts, work orders, stuff like that. We've even got the code book up here. I keep some hand cleaners, some towels. This right here is our cooler. This Yeti cooler right here. This thing has been amazing. Obviously, down in this cubby, I keep some extra chargers, some extra business cards. This is an aftermarket head unit that we have right here for the radio. Double din. This thing works amazing. The only thing I wish it had was a volume knob. Other than that, it works great. You know, it hooks up, it does its job. Right here, this remote control you see right here, this is actually for the inverter back there. So if you hit that on switch, the inverter will kick on and it will actually start charging your batteries, and you can charge your batteries while you're going down the road. You don't have to walk and get in the back of the van and manually flip it on like I see a lot of guys do. So what you might see over here, this is a 3D printed holder for our Clover card reader right here. So these things can get really dirty and really gunked up in here, and so I wanted to find a good spot for it other than like throwing it right there, or, you know, I wanted to keep it out of the way and protected because I don't want this thing to get messed up, right? So that's a 3D printed holder for those. You can get that on Etsy. And then up here, kind of just miscellaneous stuff, pens, notepads, stuff like that. Over here, I keep 2 chargers. You know, one if a guy's trying to charge his phone, or if you're wanting to charge a iPad or whatever you had going on, right? So starting out, if you're looking at the back of the van, you open these doors up, you've got your refrigerant gauges, you've got your torches. One thing I love about these vans, and I don't know if other vans do this, but these doors open all the way. If you're loading units in, or you're kind of working in some weird spaces, that really helps out. Just having those totally out of the way, or if you're walking in between right here. But you got your gauges, you got your torches here. We've got a 4-bottle refrigerant rack here, so we hold 22, 410, and then recovery tanks for both, obviously. We aren't carrying 32 or 454 yet, which we will, I think, starting Monday. So we'll have to make some more room here, accounting for those bottles. But immediately I want to show you guys, I have all of the heavy stuff at the bottom of the van on the floor. Number one, because if anything falls, you don't want it to fall on any other equipment you have or anything like that. And obviously if it's at the floor, then there's only so much damage it can do, right? If you have this stuff up top, it's a lot bigger strain on your body. You don't want to have to reach up and grab heavy tools and stuff. You want to keep it as low to the ground as possible. So of course we've got our nitrogen bottle here. We've got our vacuum pump, recovery machine. We've got all our heavy tools right here in this bag, refrigerant bag, leak detector, gloves, stuff like that. Here we have our PVC bag. See, this bag is up on this shelf because it's really not that heavy, so we're keeping that there. This is an extra set, an old set of digital gauges here. All of our capacitors and parts like that. Thermostat here, 2 fan motors, some wire. We keep our tape right here. I like to have everything that we're going to use the most is the easiest to access. I don't know, this is probably the best way I can put that. If you'll notice, everything is labeled. I'm a big label guy. I like to have everything labeled, and even if I know where everything's at, if I have somebody else with me, I want them to know where everything's at. And without them having to spend 2 weeks trying to memorize where everything's at in the van. So a good investment, I would say, invest in a label maker. That has been a deal maker, especially for me, having everything labeled in this thing. I like to keep everything individualized as much as I can. Number 1, for easy accessibility. Number 2, for inventory. If I was to go in here and all of this, if I was missing grinding wheels, or I was low on grinding wheels or low on cutting wheels, I wouldn't notice because it's all jumbled together. Whereas if I need to go grab a cutting wheel, I'm going to say, oh wow, I'm a little low, you know, and it's a lot easier to keep track of inventory that way and keep you from running a parts store. In this cubby, I keep all the tools that I don't use very often. So in here, we've got our general service kits. We've got a manometer, ECM tester, snap ring, pliers, wrenches, you know the deal. Just stuff that we use and we like to keep in the van, but it's really not going to get used that often. Up here on this one, I keep all of our batteries, lighting, stuff like that. Right here is our inverter. I mounted this inverter because I really like the fact that I can charge my tools and my batteries in my van. I know some guys plug them into cigarette lighters. They have chargers that do that, but I think for me, if I ever wanted to run a vacuum or anything like that, I can just plug it in right here and be good to go and done with it. So I would say for me, I would recommend everybody have an inverter. If you can afford it, do it. They're very cheap. You can get them on Amazon. It's a good investment if you ask me. So down here, we've got an extra nitrogen bottle. We've got a Sawzall. We've got some inspection cameras and stuff like that. Just, again, stuff that'll get used, but just not very often. Right here, we keep a jack. I got this one from O'Reilly's. I know the Expresses have jacks back here, but I would prefer to actually put stuff right here, and it kind of got in the way, so we went ahead and bought an aftermarket jack, and we just keep that right there, and it's a lot easier to use, if you ask me, than the factory one they had right there. Right here is all of our cleaning stuff. We're currently out of some things, so that's why you see this empty space right here. I gotta get some more. Our cool cleaning gun. These are our hoses that we use. So starting up here, we've got this DeWalt vacuum. This thing is absolutely amazing. Got this extension cord here. This extension cord reel. I think this is 100 feet. This has been amazing too. Spend the money and reel up your extension cords and get it organized, you know, and do it right, guys. For me, it was just a pain to have to wad up all these extension cords. And if this is too much for you, that's why I also carry a 15-footer. This little 15-footer right here I use quite often, and it's a good one to keep too. If you don't want to carry this 100-footer out there and you know you're not going to use most of it, just keep this too. So I'd recommend keeping both of those, and that usually levels out all your extension cord stuff. Lights. So I try to make the lighting look as professional as possible. I did some wire loom on it and stuff, and it's all soldered together, but these are just regular Amazon lights, guys. You don't have to go crazy with the lights. They work great, and I actually think at nighttime there's no shadows in here. They light up the whole thing. I have a broom mounted up there. We actually have the whole thing insulated. This is one to kind of help with soundproofing. I know these things can get pretty noisy, especially when it rains and stuff like that. We really tried hard to keep the noise out. Actually, I don't know if you can see, I put soundproofing on the wheel wells right there. And we also added a vent right here because, you know, it gets hot. So we wanted to be able to vent some air out. And this actually will pull air out as you're going down the road and hopefully help cool the back of the van. All right, that's the tour. I hope you guys like this video and subscribe if you want to see more. See you later.